Welcome to Loup TV. I'm Gene, along with Doug. Our three topics today are Facebook Reels. Second is Facebook Meta Horizons. And third is the World Health Organization weighing in on video gaming addiction. And we'll take it back to the top here is yesterday, Facebook announced that they have rolled out Reels to a broader audience at an additional 150 countries. Reels has been available in the US since August of 2020, initially on Instagram and Facebook, and then, as I said, now expanding to other geographies. And it's significant because they talked a lot about it on their last earnings call, and it is in the context of how Facebook is navigating the competitive side of what TikTok is doing to the business. And I wanted to pause there, and there's been a lot of anticipation about how Reels is going to do. Is this going to, I guess, slow some of the atrophy that they're getting, or some of the attention time that is being subtracted from Facebook properties over to TikTok?
That's what it all comes down to. I think when you think about social media broadly, the whole game is about aggregating attention. And what I think TikTok did really well, and why they've had so much success, is they kind of flipped the game a little bit, where companies like Facebook and Snapchat and Twitter were really built around networks and creating entertainment with your friends and people you knew, or maybe people that you wish you knew, and you were following what they were saying and what they were posting. The thing with TikTok was they really just made it like, hey, let's just create this user-generated TV channel. I mean, that's essentially what it is. And it's powered by an algorithm that really understands what you seem to like to watch. And TikTok's superpower is figuring out what best to show you next. And so if you bring in Reels and how—
Let me interrupt. Is there superpower, the algorithm, or is there superpower branding around this short form video?
I think it's more the algorithm. I mean, this form of video actually was really done first with Vine that Twitter bought. And unfortunately for Twitter, it really never figured out how to optimize the platform. But the idea of the short form kind of 7-second looping video was not something that TikTok invented. It's something that they took and ran with, that Vine did. And then I think what they really innovated on, layered on top, was figuring out how do we optimize that next video and keep your attention once we have it.
So it may they go hand in hand, as they were able to build a stronger brand around it because the algorithm, chicken, the egg. I can see your point about the algorithm is whichever comes first was what's most important. I interrupted.
Well, no, I think the point is, though, now Facebook is in some ways like they're trying to create this idea of, a TV channel within their product suite that competes with the TikTok TV channel. And what's important, I think, and what will ultimately determine Facebook's success here, is the one thing that Facebook has that Instagram doesn't, is the network. They have your network of friends, or they have your network of connections on Instagram. And to the degree that they can incorporate that into the experience somehow, I think that's where they can really be unique. They're going to spend $1 billion this year, they've talked about it, on content creators, trying to incentivize content creators to come on their platform. So they're going to get some good content. They're probably not going to get everybody from TikTok because there's some really big creators there. But if they can figure out how to get just enough good content and integrate your friends, integrate that network, they maybe have a shot at putting a dent in TikTok.
And that's that network piece is one of the reasons why Facebook Meta is part of Loup's portfolio. And when I think about that opportunity around Reels, obviously we go back and think about what happened with Stories, and wasn't that long ago, whatever it was, 2017, 2018, when Snap was making a lot of noise, growing users, and Facebook had to make some adjustments and kind of embrace their form of Stories. I'm curious, how would you say that experiment played out? Did Facebook investors end up being better off for what Facebook did with Stories back a few years ago?
I mean, I think it would be too granular to say, did Stories do it? Because the real question is, was Facebook able to defend the attention that people were granting it, that were giving it, right? Because all of this social media game is a collection of attention time. Exactly. And the answer to the numbers from when stories came out is yes, they figured out how to innovate enough on the Instagram platform to stem any meaningful competition to Snapchat. I think Snapchat has figured out a real use case, and they've got over 300 million DAUs now, and they're a big network. But I think Instagram, with stories and some of the other innovations they've had since then, including Reels, have found ways to keep people's attention on that platform.
And that, of course, is the playbook here. And in terms of with Reels, is the ability to kind of maintain that attention piece. And since Snap is still around, we believe TikTok is still going to be around in the future. And hard to call this out, but when you kind of layer it together, you put on one side of the ledger, you have Facebook has the strength of their network to be able to do kind of recommendations around this short form video content and Reels. On the flip side, TikTok has the brand and has just a better algorithm, presumably, to make recommendations around that. Which one do you think is a more powerful? If you had to pick one of the two, and you can't pick this one, you can't pick neither. If you had to pick one of the two, which asset would you rather have?
I never play by the rules, Gene, so I'm going to pick whatever I want to pick. We own Facebook. I mean, I think that is kind of the bottom line. So I think we have a bet saying that we think their asset is going to continue to have value here. I think that's the simple answer. The thing with TikTok, I mean, obviously they're not public. The thing that I think you have to think about with TikTok is twofold. One is the other asset they have is the content creators. The creators have built huge audiences on TikTok, people that follow them, people that have liked their content. And so it's going to be hard for Facebook to really wrench those, the highest level and the biggest creators on TikTok away. If they have a lot of success, maybe they do that and they subsume the whole network. That seems unlikely to me. The other wild card with TikTok, and I mean, I don't know how to even put percentages on this, but obviously there has been persistent tension between the US and China. TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is based in China. The prior administration tried to ban TikTok in the US. And I think there's still conversation worth having about whether or not TikTok should be allowed in the US. Facebook's not allowed in China. And so, I wouldn't make an investment betting on that as an outcome, but I do think it's this sort of wild card that matters in the context of this discussion, because imagine a world where TikTok gets banned, even temporarily. Who's going to fill that gap?
Yeah. Facebook's up 5% on that news. If we think about, that we would never invest in TikTok for that purpose, just the concept, I guess never at some price there's we will have a conversation, but unlikely that we would invest in TikTok, because I think there's that risk that this soft underbelly that they have could become exposed and a threat. And I think that is more than just a passing threat. I think that kind of psychology and kind of how consumers think about these platforms, privacy is a big deal. If you think privacy is a big deal, if you think privacy is not a big deal, just ask Facebook. What happened to IDFA? 90% of people opted in for privacy, impacted their revenue by 8% in 2022. Privacy matters. TikTok is in a little bit of a vulnerable spot, and I can see how Facebook could benefit from this. I'm going to take the last word on that. Give you the last word on this the next segment, which is today. Meta, Facebook hosted an event they call it Inside the Lab, building Meta with AI. And Mark Zuckerberg made a surprise appearance on it, and they showed a few technologies, and one was a voice translator, the ability to kind of speak in one language and automatically gets translated. Apple has a similar product called Translator. They also showed a bot that basically builds environments. Think of like Roblox, and that's what their Horizons is the name of this particular environment that Meta has. Horizons, you can use it to this bot to build some environments. Use your voice, go build a wall over there, build a swimming pool, X, Y, and Z. That was kind of the facts. What was the takeaway?
Takeaway is that Facebook has a long way to go to figure out the metaverse. I think that the things they announced to me, I mean, talk about kind of, does it matter or is it noise? Is just noise. I mean, these products are not that exciting in my brutal opinion. And I think if you look at what they've done so far with, Horizon's World, they still, it's still super early. I mean, to be fair, they need to develop the platform and build it to a much more compelling degree to really get people to want to spend time there. Back to the idea of just attention, kind of period, full stop. You have, I think, a viable comp out there in Roblox, which is oriented around a very specific audience, but they've got over 50 million DAUs. They have a ton of developers that create really great experiences on that world. And Horizons is still just sort of creating the world itself. So hopefully they can create tools that do enable those developers to come and attract the users. But, it's still super early. And I don't think that these announcements really change that.
Our final topic is the World Health Organization has now voted that video gaming can be an addiction. They estimate that 2 to 3% of video game players show addictive behavior. And you can kind of fill in the blanks what justifies addictive behavior. This is something that they were thought about voting on in 2018 and not surprised to see the outcome here. I'm glad to see that it's being flagged. And I want to give a little bit of insight in terms of how we think about these headlines, some of these realities relative to our portfolio. And we are invested in Take-Two, and we understand that there are mechanics within the game that encourage behavior. And I wanted you, Doug, just to kind of give some context on how we think about the gives and takes and the opportunity around gaming more broadly.
I think it partially comes back to something we talked about yesterday as it relates to Truth Social, which is this idea of freedom. In that case, we're talking about free speech. But I think when we talk about these addictive products, and I mean, we're surrounded with addictive products. I think you could argue that any attention-based company is serving addictive products. The only way for them to actually have a business is to serve you addictive products.
Yeah, Gene Munster's house, 1978. I'm 7, 8 years old. TV was on all the time.
Yeah, and the first fundamental principle to us is people should have the choice. If they do want to spend their time consuming entertainment in whatever way they want to consume entertainment, I don't think we should be the moral critics of that outcome. So that'd be kind of first and foremost. And I think on top of that, I think that a lot of people that play games, I'm a gamer, and I can tell you when you find the right games, you will be drawn in. And it will be hard to step away from them. But I think most people, and even the data that you just talked about from the WHO, 2 to 3% of gamers maybe have this, addiction issue. Most people have the self-control to step away and do something else. And so, when you combine freedom with self-control, I mean, we could get into a much broader philosophical debate, but that to me is kind of the basis for how you should think about investing in addictive products, because I guarantee you almost every portfolio has some exposure to addictive products.
Appreciate filling in the blanks. I do not consider myself a gamer. I have played games. I think the last time I owned a console was probably 8 or 10 years ago. Do you want to guess what game I played? I owned one game. I'll give you a hint. It was Xbox. I had one game. I'd play it every night for 20 minutes.
Xbox 10, 20 years ago.
No, not 20 years ago. 10, we'll say 10 years ago.
That's tough. Call of Duty. I'll go mainstream.
Right on. Yep. Doug knows how to, he didn't know the answer to that. Yep. Call of Duty. It was a lot of fun. It was a nice little break from the everyday. On behalf of Breaking from the Everyday, thank you for taking a break with Doug and I and Loup TV, and bye for now.